a strategic maneuver in itself, a way to compress the decision-making cycle, to force rapid calculation, and to increase the stakes of every meeting, memo, and intelligence briefing. In ordinary circumstances, alliances of this size are deliberative, consensus-driven, and often slow-moving, precisely because of the complexity of their memberships. They represent multiple nations, multiple legal frameworks, and multiple public expectations. But by creating an arbitrary, externally imposed deadline, the sender of this ultimatum disrupts the usual rhythm of deliberation. It introduces the possibility that decisions will be made under pressure, that compromises may be rushed, and that errors in judgment could be magnified simply because there is insufficient time for careful coordination. The 30-day timeline is a kind of temporal weapon, one that aims to exploit the natural inertia and caution that such alliances often exhibit, converting those normally stabilizing qualities into potential vulnerabilities. Beyond the immediate pressure, the ultimatum also functions as a tool of signaling and perception management. Every actor in the global arena, whether a direct member of the alliance or an observer from afar, is forced to take note. The timeline is a signal, not only to the alliance itself, but to the world at large. This is a matter that will not be ignored, deferred, or diluted. There is an implicit challenge embedded within the statement. How will you respond? Will you act in unity, or will you fracture under the weight of your own internal disagreements? Will you respond with a show of strength, or will hesitation signal weakness? The pressure is therefore not just internal to the alliance, it is external. A message crafted to influence not only those directly involved, but also other international actors who may be calculating their own next steps. The ultimatum becomes a kind of strategic chess move, forcing multiple boards of calculation at once. The internal board of the alliance, the external board of neighboring nations, and the global board of observers and potential opportunists. Complicating matters further is the unpredictable nature of public perception. Unlike closed-door negotiations, this ultimatum exists in a world of media coverage, instant reporting, and social amplification. Citizens of member nations are inevitably aware, directly or indirectly, that their governments face a pressing challenge. Leaders must manage not only the strategic and tactical responses, but also the narratives that emerge from these deliberations. Every statement, every delay, every action or inaction will be analyzed for evidence of resolve or weakness. The psychological pressure is immense. The ultimatum operates not just as a direct threat to military capabilities, but as a catalyst for political anxiety, a force multiplier that extends its reach far beyond the formal boundaries of the alliance. History teaches us that ultimatums rarely operate in isolation. They are often part of broader strategic campaigns designed to test resolve, gauge reaction times, and manipulate the perception of strength. A 30-day ultimatum is particularly dangerous because it combines immediacy with ambiguity. There is certainty in the deadline, but there is uncertainty in the consequences of compliance or defiance. The recipients must weigh numerous scenarios. Should they respond militarily, diplomatically, or through a combination of both? How will an immediate response be perceived domestically and internationally? Could a delay be interpreted as weakness, inviting further aggression? Could an overreaction escalate the situation into outright conflict? Every choice carries risk, and every risk is magnified by the compressed time frame. Moreover, alliances of this scale are not monolithic. They are composed of nations with differing interests, priorities, and threat perceptions. Some members may advocate for a strong, immediate show of force. Others may push for cautious diplomacy and extended negotiations. The ultimatum, by imposing a fixed 30-day window, forces these differing perspectives into a constrained dialogue, heightening the potential for internal conflict. Unity, which is the alliance's greatest strength, becomes a fragile balancing act. The pressure to project cohesion externally while managing internal disagreement adds another layer of complexity. Decisions cannot simply reflect the preferences of a single nation. They must account for the strategic, political, and operational realities of multiple actors, all under the ticking clock of this ultimatum. The strategic risks are also compounded by the nature of modern warfare and international relations. In today's environment, rapid technological developments, cyber operations, and the speed of information dissemination mean that the consequences of any misstep are amplified. A single miscalculated move, whether in a military, economic, or informational domain, can trigger a cascade of reactions that may be impossible to fully control. The 30-day ultimatum is therefore not only a test of political will, but also a test of strategic agility. It demands that the alliance operate with both precision and foresight, anticipating not just immediate responses, but the potential ripple effects across multiple theaters of influence. At the heart of this pressure is the concept of credibility. The issuer of the ultimatum is relying on the perception that the alliance will feel compelled to respond decisively, that delay or inaction will be interpreted as weakness. Every member state is acutely aware that the credibility of the alliance is on the line. The effectiveness of its deterrent posture, the reliability of its commitments, and the trust among its members all hinge on the perception that it can act cohesively under pressure. Failure to respond effectively within the 30-day window could undermine decades of strategic positioning and embolden other actors who may have been watching the situation unfold, waiting for signs of hesitation or disunity. In essence, the 30-day ultimatum is a concentrated exercise in high-stakes pressure. It compresses time, magnifies risk, and challenges both the strategic and psychological capacities of the alliance. It tests not only military readiness, but also political coordination, diplomatic skill, and the resilience of collective decision-making processes. The stakes are enormous, and the margin for error is narrow. Each day that passes, each deliberation that occurs under this fixed timeline carries weight that would be almost unimaginable under ordinary circumstances. This is why such an ultimatum cannot be treated lightly. It is designed to provoke urgency, to test cohesion, and to exploit both the internal dynamics of the alliance and the broader strategic environment in which it operates. The consequences of mishandling a situation like this extend beyond the immediate parties involved. A fractured alliance is not merely a tactical or political issue. It is a global concern. The ripple effects can destabilize regions, embolden opportunistic actors, and alter the balance of power in ways that reverberate for years, if not decades. This makes the urgency of the ultimatum not just a matter of immediate military calculation, but a broader question of international stability and security. Each decision, each action, or inaction becomes a test not just of national resolve, but of the very principles that underpin collective defense and global order. Ultimately, the 30-day ultimatum is a reminder that international relations are rarely abstract exercises in diplomacy. They are urgent because of the complexity of their memberships. They represent multiple nations, multiple legal frameworks, and multiple public expectations. But by creating an arbitrary, externally imposed deadline, the sender of this ultimatum disrupts the usual rhythm of deliberation. It introduces the possibility that decisions will be made under pressure, that compromises may be rushed, and that errors in judgment could be magnified simply because there is insufficient time for careful coordination. The 30-day timeline is a kind of temporal weapon, one that aims to exploit the natural inertia and caution that such alliances often exhibit, converting those normally stabilizing qualities into potential vulnerabilities. Beyond the immediate pressure, the ultimatum also functions as a tool of signaling and perception management. Every actor in the global arena, whether a direct member of the alliance or an observer from afar, is forced to take note. The timeline is a signal, not only to the alliance itself, but to the world at large. This is a matter that will not be ignored, deferred, or diluted. There is an implicit challenge embedded within the statement.